Breakups can feel like the end of the world, can't they? But what if there's a way to see them not as endings but as transitions, as moments of growth? Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, offers insights that remain timeless, especially when dealing with the pain of a broken heart. Imagine facing this kind of emotional upheaval with the calm and resilience Marcus taught himself to embody every day. According to Aurelius, the root of our pain isn't in the event itself, but in how we choose to interpret it. In his meditations, he reminds us that we can't control external circumstances, but we can control our responses. This applies powerfully to breakups. You may not control someone else's decision or the changing dynamics of a relationship, but you can control how you process it. Aurelius' philosophy teaches us to see relationships not as possessions but as privileges. When a relationship ends, he would advise us to reflect, accept, and then move forward, understanding that each ending is a new beginning, a chance to cultivate inner strength. In embracing these Stoic principles, you transform the pain into a valuable lesson and become stronger, wiser, and more at peace with yourself. Number 1. Healing in the digital age. In the age of social media, the emotional turmoil that comes with a breakup has been magnified. While separation was once a private and often painful experience, today it is complicated by the constant presence of our ex-partners in the digital sphere. Social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter keep our past relationships alive, whether we like it or not. The news feed becomes a reminder, a lingering connection to someone we've tried to move on from, extending the emotional pain and making the healing process more difficult. The digital age has fundamentally altered how we navigate breakups. In the past, the separation between two people was largely physical. Time and distance allowed for a natural decoupling. But now the internet keeps our exes within arm's reach, whether through photos, status updates, or mutual connections. These digital reminders often evoke a wave of emotions that disrupt our ability to heal. Every like, comment, or post can reignite feelings we are still trying to move past. Instead of offering closure, social media becomes a constant cycle of reminders that can make moving on feel impossible. In this context, the Stoic philosophy offers a practical guide for managing our emotional lives. Marcus Aurelius teaches that while we cannot always control the external events that affect us, we can control how we respond. When facing emotional pain, such as from a breakup, the Stoic approach emphasizes focusing on what is within our power, our actions, thoughts, and responses. Acknowledge the pain, yes, but also recognize that healing is a process that requires conscious action. The first step is to take control of the external influences that can worsen the emotional turmoil. Social media, while a tool for connection, can also be a source of harm. For those navigating the painful aftermath of a breakup, one of the most effective steps is to curate your digital space to protect your peace. This might mean unfollowing or muting an ex-partner's accounts, or even taking a break from social media altogether. The Stoic principle here is simple: we are responsible for creating an environment that supports our well-being, and that includes taking action to protect our emotional health from unnecessary triggers. Healing, according to the Stoics, is rarely a linear path. It is normal to feel pain, and it's important not to judge ourselves for experiencing it. But the Stoic philosophy also teaches us not to remain passive in the face of suffering. Instead, we are urged to engage in actions that move us toward peace and serenity. While it is natural to grieve, we can take practical steps to minimize our exposure to anything that hinders our healing. By setting clear boundaries, both in the real world and in the digital one, we actively participate in the process of restoring our emotional balance. It is essential to remind ourselves that no one can control the flow of emotions entirely. We are not immune to hurt or sorrow, and healing takes time. But the Stoics offer a powerful reminder. We always have the ability to choose our response to external events. We can choose to protect ourselves from digital distractions that prolong our pain. By exercising this control, we create the space necessary for healing, and in doing so, we take back control of our emotional journey. Number 2. The paradox of pain and healing. Breakups, like all profound emotional experiences, bring with them not just the agony of a broken heart, but a deep physical discomfort. This connection between the mind and body is often overlooked, yet it is essential to acknowledge that our emotional pain is not only felt in the heart but also in the body. Recognizing this duality, the interplay between emotional suffering and physical distress, can be a powerful tool in understanding and navigating grief. When we allow ourselves to fully process this pain, we unlock the possibility of recovery and healing. Recent studies have shed light on the gender differences in how people experience breakups. Women often experience both the emotional and physical dimensions of pain more acutely. This heightened sensitivity, however, seems to enable them to recover in a more holistic way over time. Their experience of grief allows them to process and release their emotions, leading to a deeper, more integrated healing process. On the other hand, men may appear stoic in the face of emotional distress, masking their vulnerability. While they may not outwardly express the pain, this emotional burden tends to linger longer, often stored away in ways that impede true healing. From a Stoic perspective, there is wisdom in recognizing the natural response of the body to emotional upheaval. The Stoics teach us that emotions, no matter how intense, are part of the human experience. To deny or suppress them is not to conquer them, but to delay their resolution. The Stoic ideal is not the absence of emotion, but the ability to respond to emotions with clarity, self-compassion, and without judgment. The Stoic approach invites us to acknowledge the emotional and physical pain without trying to fight it or wish it away. Rather than viewing it as a weakness, we see it as an integral part of our process as we navigate life's inevitable challenges. Self-compassion becomes crucial in this process. To be kind to ourselves, especially in moments of intense pain, is to practice a form of Stoicism that involves acceptance rather than resistance. When we allow ourselves to feel fully and deeply, we honor the truth of our emotions, whether they manifest in tears, aching muscles, or a heavy chest. To deny this pain is to deny part of ourselves, whereas to embrace it is to align with the Stoic practice of understanding our nature. Moreover, the Stoic teaching that everything external is outside our control, including the actions of others, becomes highly relevant in the context of breakups. We cannot control how a relationship ends or the emotional turmoil that follows, but we can control our response to it. It is through this control that true freedom lies. We are free to feel the pain, but we are also free to choose how we process it and how we grow from it. In the end, the key to recovery lies not in suppressing the pain, but in acknowledging it fully. To heal is not to forget, but to integrate the experience into our broader narrative. And by accepting both the emotional and physical responses to a breakup, we give ourselves permission to heal and emerge stronger. Through this lens, pain is not the enemy. It is the catalyst for growth and renewal. It is through confronting and embracing our discomforts that we come to understand ourselves more fully, ultimately leading to a more resilient and compassionate existence. Number 3. The power of perception. One of the central tenets of Stoic philosophy is the understanding that it is not the events themselves that disturb us, but our perception of them. This simple yet profound idea has the potential to revolutionize how we navigate life's challenges, offering a pathway to emotional resilience and inner peace. According to the Stoics, events are neutral by nature. It is our judgments and interpretations of those events that generate our emotional responses. Take, for instance, the experience of a breakup. In the moment, it may feel as if the world is crashing down, that the end of a relationship is a personal failure or a painful blow to our happiness. However, from a Stoic perspective, the breakup itself is neither inherently good nor bad. It is simply an event, a part of the natural course of life. What causes us distress is the story we tell ourselves about it. We may ask, why did this happen to me, or what did I do wrong? These questions lead us down a path of self-pity, frustration, or anger. But what if we reframed the situation? What if instead of focusing on the loss, we shifted our perception to what we can learn from it? This is the core of Stoic practice. To examine the judgments we make and consciously choose to reshape them. Rather than seeing a breakup as a catastrophe, we can view it as an opportunity for growth. We can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this experience? How can this help me become a stronger, wiser person? The Stoic principle of controlling perception is not about denying our emotions or pretending that pain doesn't exist. It is about choosing how we respond to those emotions. By changing the way we perceive the event, we reclaim our power and maintain emotional balance. This perspective is liberating because it shifts the focus from external circumstances, things that we often cannot control, back to our own minds and attitudes, which we can control. In this way, we empower ourselves to respond to life's challenges with a sense of purpose and clarity. When we realize that our suffering is not caused by the breakup itself, but by our perception of it, we unlock the possibility of inner peace. By training ourselves to see every event as an opportunity for growth, we become less vulnerable to the emotional turbulence that so often accompanies hardship. The Stoic practice of reframing our perceptions applies not only to breakups but to any difficult situation we may encounter. Whether it's a setback at work, a personal loss, or a conflict with a friend, the ability to shift our perception can make all the difference in how we experience the world. It is a skill that, when honed, transforms us into more resilient and grounded individuals. Number 4. The power of active acceptance. Life, with all its unpredictability, often places us in situations where things happen beyond our control. Whether it's the end of a relationship, a lost opportunity, or an unexpected challenge, we frequently encounter circumstances that are simply out of our hands. But in these moments, Stoicism offers a transformative perspective, not one of passive resignation, but of active acceptance. This distinction is critical for navigating the emotional landscape of our lives and building resilience in the face of adversity. Stoic acceptance is not about giving in to fate or retreating into a state of helplessness. Instead, it's about acknowledging what cannot be changed and focusing our energy on what we can control: our actions, thoughts, and responses. It's an empowering philosophy that encourages us to let go of the need to control the uncontrollable and to shift our focus toward the one thing that remains within our grasp: our own agency. Imagine a person who has just gone through a difficult breakup. The end of the relationship is outside their control. No amount of wishing can undo what has transpired. Yet, how they respond to this reality is entirely within their power. The Stoic approach doesn't deny the pain or emotional difficulty of such a situation. Rather, it invites the individual to fully accept the circumstances as they are, and then decide how they wish to move forward. This is not a denial of the past, but an active choice to focus on what is possible now. By practicing active acceptance, the individual can begin the healing process with clarity and dignity. The focus shifts from lamenting what was lost to embracing what can be done moving forward. This mindset enables them to process their emotions without being consumed by them. Instead of remaining stuck in the past, they can redirect their energy into personal growth and recovery, taking control of their present and future. In essence, Stoic acceptance empowers individuals to heal, to grow, and to live with purpose despite the challenges they face. The Stoic principle of agency plays a pivotal role in this process. It encourages us to remember that while we cannot always control external events, we can always control our responses. This shift in focus can radically change the way we view adversity. Instead of seeing ourselves as victims of circumstance, we begin to see ourselves as active participants in our own lives, capable of shaping our responses to any situation. In practical terms, this means that when faced with difficulties, whether personal, professional, or otherwise, the Stoic approach urges us to ask, what can I control here? What is within my power to influence? It's not about ignoring the pain or the challenges, but about recognizing that our emotional resilience depends on how we choose to engage with them. Through acceptance, we can stop the cycle of regret and frustration, freeing ourselves to move forward with strength and purpose. This process of active acceptance also ties into the broader Stoic goal of living in harmony with nature, which in this context means accepting the natural flow of events and finding peace within ourselves regardless of what happens in the external world. It's a realization that life will unfold as it will, but how we respond is the key to our emotional resilience. Number 5. The strength found in suffering. Life is full of moments that challenge our emotional resilience. One such moment that many of us face is the pain of a breakup. While the heartbreak may feel unbearable, it offers a profound opportunity for emotional growth, and with that growth comes the potential for greater personal development. Rather than simply wallowing in sorrow, we can use such painful experiences as stepping stones toward greater emotional strength and self-awareness. Drawing upon the wisdom of ancient philosophers and modern thinkers, we find that pain, when approached with the right mindset, can lead us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves. Aristotle, for example, teaches us the concept of the golden mean, urging us to seek balance in all things. This applies directly to our emotional responses. In the face of heartbreak, it's easy to slip into either excessive grief or emotional suppression. Neither is healthy. Instead, Aristotle advocates for a balanced emotional response, acknowledging the pain but not allowing it to overwhelm us. This balanced approach helps us maintain emotional stability and fosters resilience in the long run. Plato offers a complementary perspective with his theory of ideal forms. According to Plato, everything in life has an ideal version of itself, a perfected state toward which we strive. In the context of a breakup, we can view the painful experience not as an end, but as a step toward becoming the best version of ourselves. The pain, in this sense, is not something to avoid, but something that propels us closer to our ideal self, encouraging growth, self-reflection, and the cultivation of wisdom. The insights of Carl Jung further deepen this perspective. Jung's concept of individualization suggests that pain, particularly emotional pain, is a necessary part of our journey toward authenticity. Through the process of individuation, we integrate the different aspects of ourselves, including our shadows, those parts of us that we might prefer to ignore or suppress. A breakup, with all its heartache, often forces us to confront these hidden aspects of our psyche. In doing so, we become more whole and authentic individuals, capable of greater emotional maturity and self-understanding. From a Stoic perspective, the key is to reframe the painful breakup as an essential part of our journey toward greater self-awareness. Rather than viewing it as a tragedy, we can see it as an opportunity for growth. Stoicism teaches us to cultivate emotional resilience. the ability to bounce back from hardship with grace and strength. In the face of adversity, a Stoic would encourage us to look for the lessons to be learned. What does this experience teach us about our own desires, expectations, and behaviors? How can we use this pain to become more emotionally mature, more in control of our reactions, and more attuned to the truth of who we are? Through this lens, we see that emotional resilience isn't about avoiding pain, but about developing the strength to handle it when it inevitably comes. It's about recognizing that growth often comes through adversity. In fact, some of our greatest emotional breakthroughs occur in the midst of hardship. By reframing the breakup as an opportunity for self-discovery, we can embrace the process of healing and growth, allowing the pain to become a catalyst for transformation rather than something to fear or avoid. Number 6. The strength in embracing pain. Emotional pain is an inevitable part of the human experience. Whether it's the sting of a breakup or the weight of personal loss, these moments of heartache often compel us to turn away, hoping that by avoiding our feelings we can escape the discomfort. However, Stoicism teaches us a different approach, one that calls us not to run from our emotions but to face them directly. It is only by confronting our pain head-on that we can truly heal and emerge stronger from the experience. The Stoics, with their unwavering commitment to personal growth, understand that avoiding emotions is ultimately futile. Imagine trying to keep a beach ball submerged underwater. No matter how hard you try, the ball will eventually pop back to the surface. Similarly, when we suppress our emotions, we may delay their expression, but they will inevitably resurface, often at the most inconvenient times. This analogy underscores a fundamental Stoic belief: our emotions, particularly those tied to difficult experiences, must be faced and processed, not hidden or ignored. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher-emperor, frequently wrote about the necessity of embracing hardship. He argued that adversity, including emotional suffering, provides an opportunity for growth and resilience. Instead of viewing pain as something to avoid, he encouraged us to see it as an essential part of life's training. In his meditations, he reflects on the importance of accepting each moment, even those that bring discomfort, as part of a greater process of becoming our best selves. By confronting pain, we gain the clarity to understand ourselves more deeply and the strength to continue moving forward. Seneca, another pillar of Stoic philosophy, shared similar sentiments about emotional resilience. In his letters, he spoke of the importance of recognizing and accepting our emotions, not as weaknesses, but as natural human responses to life's challenges. He advised that we must engage with our feelings, not bury them beneath layers of distraction. Only by doing so can we truly heal and grow. Avoidance, he cautioned, would only delay the inevitable and make the pain harder to confront later. The Stoic principle of facing adversity directly, particularly in the realm of emotions, is a powerful tool for personal transformation. When we allow ourselves to fully experience and process our pain, we create space for emotional clarity and resilience. This does not mean wallowing in suffering, but rather acknowledging it as part of the human condition and using it as a springboard for growth. In this way, Stoicism teaches us to embrace difficult emotions, not as burdens, but as opportunities for self-discovery and strength. In practical terms, this means that after a breakup or any emotional setback, instead of masking our feelings with distractions or numbing ourselves, we must give ourselves permission to feel. By sitting with the discomfort, rather than running from it, we begin the healing process. It may not be easy, but it is through this confrontation with our emotions that we can gain control over them and find a deeper sense of peace. Number 7. Resilience through acceptance. Stoicism, a philosophy that emphasizes emotional resilience, teaches us the vital role of endurance and acceptance in the face of life's challenges. These principles are particularly powerful when applied to the end of relationships, where the pain of loss can be overwhelming. Instead of clinging to what has passed, the Stoic approach urges us to face the reality of the situation with composure, understanding, and purpose. Endurance, within the Stoic framework, is not about enduring suffering blindly or without reflection. It is about meeting emotional pain with wisdom, accepting it without resistance, and allowing ourselves the space to process the experience. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, often reflected on the transient nature of life. His meditations remind us that while we cannot change the past, we have full control over how we respond to the present. This acceptance is not a passive resignation, but an active choice to move forward with purpose and clarity. When a relationship ends, we are faced with a choice to dwell on the past and the pain of loss, or to embrace the Stoic principle of acceptance. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot change what has already transpired, we can choose how to move forward. Instead of resisting the end, we are encouraged to acknowledge it, accepting the situation for what it is. This acceptance does not imply a lack of grief or sorrow. It simply means recognizing that the relationship, like all things, has reached its natural conclusion. The power of acceptance lies in its ability to free us from the burden of emotional turmoil. By acknowledging that the relationship is over, we stop fighting against reality, which only prolongs our suffering. Acceptance allows us to release the hold that the past has over us, enabling us to take the first steps toward healing. As Seneca once wrote, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The Stoic mindset encourages us to face the pain head-on, not as something to be feared, but as an inevitable part of life, and to respond to it with clarity and strength. This process of endurance is crucial. It requires us to maintain composure even when our emotions may be in turmoil. The Stoic perspective does not ask us to ignore our feelings, but rather to respond to them with wisdom. In times of emotional distress, we can choose to meet our pain not with self-pity or bitterness, but with the resolve to heal and move forward. The path to healing is often through acceptance, as we embrace the lessons the experience has taught us and use them to cultivate a deeper sense of self-awareness and strength. In practical terms, applying Stoic endurance means embracing discomfort and emotional turbulence as part of the human experience. It involves taking a step back and recognizing that while we cannot control the emotions that arise, we can control how we respond to them. By focusing on our reactions, we empower ourselves to maintain our sense of inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. This is where the Stoic practice of reflection becomes invaluable. Through self-examination, we gain the clarity needed to make wise decisions, grounded in the present moment rather than the emotional residues of the past. The Stoic principle of endurance teaches us to remain grounded even in the most emotionally turbulent times. By accepting the end of a relationship, we free ourselves from the clutches of regret and longing. Instead of allowing ourselves to be swept away by the tides of emotion, we find the strength to stand firm and continue our journey with clarity and purpose. It is this acceptance, coupled with resilience, that forms the core of Stoic endurance. It is an enduring strength that allows us to rise above adversity with grace. Number 8. The path to healing. Healing is a deeply personal journey, one that unfolds in its own time and rhythm. When faced with the emotional turmoil of a breakup, it's easy to view the experience through a lens of loss and despair. Yet, Stoic philosophy offers a refreshing perspective. Healing isn't merely about reaching an end state of recovery, but about embracing the transformative process itself. Personal growth happens in the very act of healing, not just when we emerge from the other side. Stoicism teaches us that the way we respond to hardship shapes our character. This includes the pain and uncertainty that accompany the end of a relationship. The Stoic approach is not about rushing through the emotional stages, but rather about giving ourselves the grace to process our emotions fully. In fact, it is often in our darkest moments that we are presented with the greatest opportunities for growth. Instead of seeking to erase pain quickly, Stoicism encourages us to confront it, to understand it, and to learn from it. The first key to healing, from a Stoic standpoint, is taking personal responsibility. In the wake of a breakup, we are faced with two choices: to linger in bitterness and resentment, or to take ownership of our response. The Stoic response is clear. While we cannot control the events that led to the breakup, we can control how we react to them. How we choose to see the situation, whether as a tragedy or a chance for personal evolution, will significantly impact our journey forward. Healing is not a race, and there is no timeline that dictates when we should be over it. This is a process that unfolds at its own pace, and forcing ourselves to move through it too quickly often leads to superficial healing that leaves underlying wounds unaddressed. Instead, we must honor the time it takes to process our emotions, reflect on our experience, and understand what we can learn from it. This is the essence of Stoic resilience, the ability to rise above external circumstances by shaping our internal response. The Stoic view invites us to redefine our goals after a breakup, to see the end of a relationship not as an insurmountable loss, but as a catalyst for change. In every setback, there is an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. The Stoic path is about developing a richer understanding of who we are, what we value, and how we want to align our lives with those values moving forward. It is through this deeper level of self-reflection that we begin to heal, not by trying to fix ourselves, but by realigning our actions and choices to be more in harmony with our authentic self. Moreover, healing involves a commitment to self-care, both in the emotional and physical sense. Stoicism encourages us to nurture our well-being with intentionality and mindfulness, making choices that serve our long-term happiness and peace. This might involve taking time to reflect on the breakup, journaling our thoughts, or even seeking the counsel of trusted friends or mentors. But it also means making choices that promote our physical health, whether through exercise, rest, or nourishing food, which in turn supports emotional resilience. Ultimately, Stoicism shows us that healing is not about avoiding pain or rushing toward a state of happiness, but about the entirety of the journey. It's about making peace with our emotions, learning from our experiences, and finding strength in our ability to endure. The breakup may feel like a storm that threatens to overwhelm us, but through Stoic wisdom we can emerge stronger, wiser, and more aligned with the person we aspire to become. When it comes to overcoming the pain of a breakup, Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and emperor, brings an unparalleled calm. He reminds us that everything that happens in life is beyond our control, except for one thing: how we react. Breakups can leave us feeling lost and empty, but instead of wallowing in regret, take this time to explore yourself more deeply, cultivate your will, and learn to let go of what you can't keep. Marcus said, "Do not grieve for what you don't have, rejoice in what you have." Even when a relationship ends, the lessons we learned remain. They help us grow, appreciate the experience, and face any future challenges with a stronger mindset. If you find this philosophy meaningful and want to continue your journey of discovering more profound lessons from Stoic philosophy, don't forget to follow and subscribe to our channel. Let's become stronger together through each of these valuable lessons.